Welcome to the Smart Drive podcast, where driving education meets real talk, and my name is Simon Horton, who for once has got his voice, but for how long?
I hope you do keep talking, Simon, because I'm not doing this all on my own. But my name's Ashley Neal. I'm a driving instructor, and my voice is actually okay today. So, hopefully we'll help you out a little bit, Simon. Have you had your cold for long, mate?
No, I only started with it this morning, so it's an early cold, and I'm determined to beat it. None of this man flu business, but
No,
yeah, it is.
I've had one over the last week or so, to be fair, and started off with a little sore throat, and didn't hit me that hard. It was probably worse within a 24-hour window. So hopefully, fingers crossed, you're going to be the same, mate. How's things going, Simon? How are you and yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. We were just chatting a little bit before we started there about my work coming to an end at the client I've been working with for the last 2.5 years. They're hoping to move on to something new and interesting, which I might be able to talk about a little bit more in future podcasts. But I've got interview to do on that tomorrow, so a little bit of prep work to do in the morning before the interview. But looking forward to it.
Good luck with it, mate. I'm sure you've done a few of them in the past. But what else have you been up to apart from sort of like finishing a bit of work and potentially moving on to something new? You been up to anything interesting, Simon?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing of interest probably in this podcast is I'm trying to level up my commentary drive. I think we talked about in the past. I want to get better and maybe going for the Masters at IAM later this year. And I know that my commentary is one of my weak points. So I'm trying to take every opportunity where I'm out, particularly if I'm out in the car on my own, or if it's just me and Athos, of sticking a microphone on and then watching it back. And just having the microphone helps you concentrate a little bit more on what you're saying, I think.
Yes.
And yeah, just trying to level up a little bit. My weak point at the minute is describing limit points, because I think I've been brought up with one method and I've watched another two methods on various YouTubes of how to describe what the limit point looks like, and I'm just confusing and conflating the three, so I need to pick one and just concentrate on that. But that's been what I've been doing.
Do you want me to just give it 30 seconds of how I would do it?
Yeah, and then I can ignore that one as well. Yeah, great, go on.
Okay, perfect. Limit point's the furthest point that we can see. As we're coming into a corner, generally you'll be catching the limit point up, so your speed should be reducing. You'll reach a certain point as you start to go around the corner that the limit point will be traveling away from you at the same speed you are. That's how you know that your speed is pretty good for that particular corner, and you keep steady. And then as you're coming out of the corner, the limit point gets further away from you and you can build your speed after that. How does that sit in with the explanations that you've heard, Simon?
Oh, the explanations are spot on. It's the terminology to how you would describe that as whether that's catching, static, running is one way. You want to keep the words as punchy as possible so that you can do them. But there's other methods. So that's the one I've been trying to do is catching, static, and running. But like I said, I think that's a conflation of two different methods. But
you know what? For me, if I was looking at someone's commentary driving, and as long as I understood what they mean, I wouldn't be that anal to go, I've got to have that particular term, because that then is taken up, going back to something that we've talked about many occasions, that's taken up too much cognitive load. As long as you are describing it, for me, of what's happening and what you're doing about it, nothing a problem. But I'm not on that side of the fence with IAM, so I'm not sure what they're after, Simon, to be honest.
They'll be looking for the similar sort of thing. There isn't a dictionary for it. But you're 100% right. What it is about is reducing a cognitive load. I shouldn't be trying to figure out what word I'm going to use. It should come naturally as part of, and it should be, I'm thinking about it, that word. And if I've got the opportunity to say that word in my commentary, then I'll say it. But it should always be there.
One little bit that I find within commentary driving that I think people aren't very good at, and I've actually seen a little bit with the IAM stuff, that drivers who are going to do the courses are talking about hazards, for me, too much. Now, I'm not sure where the IAM sit with that, because it's an experienced driver. If you spot the hazard, generally you're going to be able to understand and know what to do with that hazard. But when I get instructors who are going off to teach novice drivers to do a little bit of commentary to show their forward planning, they often talk about hazards, and that comes out within their Q&A techniques, within their teaching, about talking about hazards. And then you're effectively training the student to target fixate at the hazard and not doing anything about it. So if I look for any commentary, it might be a little bit different style than you're going to have to do. I'd be looking at what you're doing about space and movement, rather than just pointing hazard out. Slightly different tweak, and I don't. How does that fit in with what you've done before, Simon?
Yeah, so the best example is position within lane, isn't it? So if we were, and imagine a scenario where we are coming to a fairly sharp left-hand bend. We're reducing speed until we get our limit point matched. That's what we're intending to do. But our position in lane dictates at what speed we can go around that bend. Position to the white line, theoretically, you can go around the bend quicker. But and you can see what's coming, in theory. But position towards the curb, and you're away from any potential hazards coming around the bend that may not be on the white line. So it's again, it's describing every bend is different, every hazard is different. What am I going to do here? Am I going to position towards the white line to open it up to get better visibility, or am I going to take a position of safety away from the white line because I can't see what's coming because I haven't got a cross view?
Yeah, perfect. And you just mentioned cross view, and that was my learning point. That went out today. That me and Simon are recording this. What day are we? 31st. So we're a few days away from this being released. However, my learning point was exactly like that today. Cross viewing across a field, you could see a big coach coming down. My viewer sussed it and held back, and then someone overtake them and had to do the reverse of shame.
It was quite embarrassing, particularly the quality of the reversing. That gave great pleasure, I guess, to the people that watched them drive past.
Good effort. Are you planning on doing some IAM stuff going forward then Simon? You planning on going? Did you say you're going to go off and get your masters? Are you going to do that quite soon? Or?
That's my intention. I always said I would leave it till the lighter nights and more chance of driving in drier weather. So I'll probably try and do the initial assessment before I go away at the middle of June, and then commit some time to it towards the end of the traditional summer holidays to see what it is. But at least if I get the initial assessment done, I can then suss out what the local instructor / examiner is looking for, because that's going to be a critical point for me. I'm not going to force myself to go to a standard that I'm not comfortable with, particularly around progress. So we'll see what that does. But that's what I've committed to.
I still should go off and get that done. I absolutely should, and see how different it actually is, because my perception of it, that it's quite different mindsets from my needs for driving. And I'd like to discover and find out exactly what those differences are, to be honest. It's not saying one's correct and one's incorrect. It's just, you know me, Simon, excuse me, you know me, I'm like a big sponge. I just want to gather that information. I don't think I've told you. Guess who's picked up their new car?
Well, I hope you've picked up your new car, because the last time we spoke, you were going to throw it in the bin, apparently. But no. So you got it. Is it a happy Ashley?
Yes, absolutely. Lovely place to be. It's not a surprise in any way, because Volvo lent me one back in October. No problems. Insurance-wise, I had some fun with that. I know I mentioned it to you, Simon. I have done a little recording of a video that's going to be heading out soon in a little more detail on this, but I think it would just be right just to just give people a little understanding of the problems that I had. When I originally was looking at the Volvo, first thing I always do, and I did it when I had the Golf GTI and when I had the Focus ST, before I commit to a purchase, I make sure I can insure it, because driving school insurance is a little different. They have limits on price a lot of the time. They have limits on group insurance. So I checked it out with my insurer, and they said, yes, no problem. So I went ahead and purchased the car. In January, when my renewal came up, I again said to them, could I still insure this Volvo? And they went, yes, no problems. So I continued with my renewal. And then when I came to insure it, they said, no, you can't insure this Volvo. So I've had to leave that that insurance company. And I've had to swallow a fair few costs, unfortunately, which I'm a little bit annoyed at, because I wouldn't have taken the insurance policy out if they'd have just given me the correct information in the first place. I would have looked to change to somewhere that could have insured the Volvo back in January.
Yeah.
However, got it insured. It was probably about £50 more expensive than the Focus. So in the end, not too bad. But is there a lesson in there for people? Yeah, to be honest. Always check the insurance company is going to be able to insure the car before you purchase, and probably give yourself a few other little options just in case the same situation happened that happened to myself.
Yeah. And interestingly, when we talk about our list of topics that we could work through, there's an insurance topic that's been on there for a couple of months now. We've never got around to talking about it. So let's move the conversation onto that now, because it's point. It's a pertinent point.
Absolutely.
It's whether car insurance is perceived by the most of our listeners and viewers as a commodity product where you just get the cheapest, or do you look for the best, or do you look for a balance? And this occurred to me because my current insurer, for me, has not been the cheapest, but they have been quite good in insurance company terms, in terms of handling when I did that stupid reversing the Kia into the garage door when we first met. But as long as that was continuing, but they also are one of the only companies that have a specific EV policy that has some additional things to it. Like, if you are stupid enough to run out of charge, they will recover you to the nearest charge point, rather than you having to burn through your recovery service with the AA or RIC.
Cool.
And additionally, if your charging cable is stolen, and at the moment that's one of the big worries, if your charging cable is stolen, that is covered, and a lot of other policies won't do that. So for me, it's a kind of, there might be better ones. There certainly will be cheaper ones, but I consider it as an investment for painless motoring.
Yeah, I think my Mrs. Liz has got an electric car. I always keep it quiet. She needs a little bit of anonymity, but I think we've got the same benefit on our insurance policy as well, that if we run out of charge, they sort that out for you. I've got a group policy with all the people in my household, with Admiral, I don't mind saying the name, and that's not been any problems whatsoever. I think what I will do going forward, having just had this experience though, Simon, is I will look at the costs for termination and bits and bobs like that a little more, because effectively I paid just over £800 to insure the Focus for that particular term. It was 750 odd, but I had a couple of extras that I paid. I got the plate changed, which there was a cost for that. Yet with Admiral, who we insure most of our cars with, there's no cost for that. So it's all these little things that do add up. Honestly, I think that would be my biggest piece of advice, and it's only something that I've really learned over the last week, 2 weeks, and I've been bitten with it. But I think the insurance cost for the period of time that I was insured from January to now, I think it was £129, but I ended up only getting less than 50% of my 800 odd pounds back. So the other charges were quite significant, getting on for £300.
Yeah, and that's unnecessary. But it's an admin cost at the end of the day, particularly if you're moving from one vehicle to another. So I think it's a little bit of consumer advice. There are shop around. The devil's in the detail, and it can be a real dry topic to look at sometimes. But consider your own circumstances. Consider the fact that you do a lot of motorway driving. Are you likely to get some windscreen chips? Are they covered? Most of them do, but not all of them do.
Nope.
Yeah, it's things like
Correct. absolutely. But yeah, look at the other costs that I've just mentioned, please, because it's left me with a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth about that particular driving or that particular insurance company. And so much so, I don't think I'd go back to them, even if they were the cheapest next time. But the policy I've got now, I had a little look at it, and it's a company who I've been with before. And when I had the driving school policy with them many years ago, they did it as a special to me that usually it's any driver over 25 is allowed to drive the particular vehicle. But I don't know how they did it with me, but any driver was allowed to drive the vehicle on my particular policy. I think it's because I'd been with them for maybe 16, 17 years. And looking at my policy documents, it looks as though it's exactly the same on my Volvo as well. So even my 23-year-old, can go off and picks up from the airport and bring the dogs along with him for when we're on holiday, mate. So a little touch with that side of things as well.
It's important you consider the dad's taxi options and how to get home.
You're not wrong. Funny.
So, today, 31st of March, been a big day for our friend Jacob Ashcroft.
How? Go on then. I'm interested in this. Has he had some decent news?
So today has been media day, which means that it's the first chance that the entire championship get out on circuit, mainly for photographs. But it's the first time the entire grid from each one of the classes gets out and has a run around, a timed laps. It looks a bit like a qualifying session, but even though they're not qualifying, the big news was that the Elite Motorsport, who he's been with, have just picked up a new talent program with McLaren. So he's racing in Papaya this year, which is wonderful news for Jacob because he's a huge Lando fan, and that is going to put him on good stead. In terms of his performance today, well, was he the fastest rookie? Yes, he was the fastest rookie. Was he the fastest on circuit from all 27 drivers? Yes, he was. By half a second a lap at Silverstone.
Wow.
He knows nothing other than full speed. I think his fastest lap out of the 10 he did was lap 2. And then everybody else just tried to catch after that and didn't. So, And as a few people said, talk about making a statement. First time out in front of the press, in your new car, in your new livery, and sticking down a fastest time of the day. Absolutely brilliant.
Well done, son. Like it. Absolutely. Keep it going.
Yeah, cool. So is there anything going on in your world that is chattable?
I've got, I did a video probably 6 or 8 weeks ago. Not sure whether you saw it, Simon. It was the one where the driving instructor turned right over the mini roundabout and hit the motorcyclist coming straight on. It was from a driving instructor, I think, down in Southampton.
Yeah, I did see that.
I'm not going to mention any names, but I thought my analysis of it was pretty fair. It was one that you could easily spot from a mile off that the motorcyclist wasn't going to slow down. If the driving instructor had have gone round the mini roundabout as they should have done, I don't think the accident would have occurred. And my summary on my video was effectively to say, well, why put this up in the first place? You're a professional instructor. You're making a pretty decent mistake by having a collision anyway, when, in my opinion, you could and should have done something to get yourself away from it. But the said instructor has complained to the DVSA about me. Now, it's not the first complaint I've had to deal with. I've had a number over the years from people I've upset, generally from cycling Twitter. But it's been a little while since I've had one, and it did surprise me. I'm not going to go into massive details of what was said. It's still work in progress at the moment. It's not going to be something that I'm going to get struck off over or anything like that. But the DVSA have to look into things. If a driving instructor gets a complaint about them, they have to investigate. And for me, I think that's a good thing, because even if the complaint is not warranted, them simply just looking at it and finding all the details and coming to the conclusion themselves is for me the best practice, and it pushes standards. So effectively, it was a little surprise to get this email, but I'm not fussed in the slightest. I know what I said was absolutely spot on and straight down the middle, and it seems as though someone's just doubling down on poor behaviour and they don't like the criticism that I aimed at them.
Mm.
But I'll let everyone know what goes on going forward with this. But like I said, it's a process that can sometimes take a number of weeks, because I replied back to it yesterday, and they say that 10 working days they give themselves to get back in touch, and usually it is that. And all I've said is I would like to see the evidence of this accusation that's been aimed at me. That's the first thing that I would like to go off and see. But I will keep everyone updated. But that's probably the only thing that's going on, Simon.
Slight annoyance, but hopefully a good outcome. How's the marathon prep going?
It's tough. Been out this morning. We've done 18 miles this morning. They reckon that if you can do 18 miles, that you can do the marathon. But I just came in, had a shower, I got something to eat, and just literally just got my head down on the couch. And it wasn't even a proper sleep, but I just needed 20 minutes, just shut my eyes and just get a little bit of recovery in. But it's tough. My knees and hips and ankles and all my joints and all my tendons are all well used, so they're suffering a little bit. But we had at the weekend, we had the James Bulger Memorial Trust dinner, which happens every year, and it's where Liz originally opened her mouth and suckered us into this. But we had that at the weekend. It went really well. I've been calling on a few favours off a few people who I've known through my previous career as a footballer. I've never done it. I've never asked for anything, but in this situation I have. And there were a couple of prizes, well, not prizes, raffle prizes that were up for auction. I had a set of Jordan Pickford signed gloves. And apparently Jordan doesn't give much away, but he gave a pair for me to raffle. We got £600 for them. And we got £450 for an Alexis McAllister signed Liverpool shirt as well. There's a couple of other pieces that I am actually going to try and push and try and generate some more money for the charity over the next few weeks as well. So please, everyone, do tune in, especially if you're a football fan.
Yeah, which excludes me immediately. But anyway,
did you know of either of those names I just mentioned? Jordan Pickford, England goalkeeper? Nope. He plays for Everton. He's been there many, many years. Alexis McAllister, Argentinian midfielder that plays for Liverpool. Two high-profile players I've actually got as well. I will let everyone into this one. I've got a Wayne Rooney signed shirt that Wayne's signed specifically for me to do what I wish with for this charity as well. So that is one thing that's going to be trying to persuade people to give away as much money as they possibly can for charity.
Yeah,
but that's one of the little things. But people have rallied round, and I've been, honestly, it's brought a tear to my eye. A couple of the people who have been so generous supporting me in what I'm doing at this current time.
Yeah,
it's been brilliant.
Good. So the usual call to action: if you can support Ashley in his marathon run or any of the other charity endeavours, then please do so. I've got a little call to action, if I may, to be selfish at this point. We're coming up to a year that we started this podcast, which has flown by. And we get steady listenership and viewers through your channel. It would be nice to have a few more. So for those that listen and for those that view, if you wouldn't mind just jumping on your podcast platform of choice and leaving us a review, hopefully a nice one, that will help promote us within the platforms and maybe drag in a few more listeners. We don't do it for the listeners, we don't do it for the views, but it would be nice if we could just get a little bit more promotion, and it would make it more enjoyable for me.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's the same reason why I do all the videos on YouTube as well. I spoke to someone who joined me at the dinner at the weekend, and he didn't ask this question, but regarding the funds that I get from YouTube, I've never spent a penny of them. Not many people know that. I produce these videos and I do the videos literally to get out to the biggest possible numbers, not for monetary value, but to get these good messages out to as many people as possible. And that's the same with this podcast as well. That is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Get the word out a little bit further. So that's my little ask.
Cool.
Cool. Can I have a moan and a groan now?
I thought you were going to say, "Can I have a grope there?"
That would be a little personal and hard to do over Zoom.
We'll leave the groping.
Right. Okay.
By all means, have a moan.
The Q6 went in for its big software update. The one that it was in for 2 days for a software update. Okay. So I've got it back, and I've driven it around for a bit, and now I can see with the differences that the software has made, and it has made difference. It's probably the best description. It's really thing. So I know they were fixing things that I'd never really had an issue with. There was a few people reporting they had lockups on the screens. There was a few people reporting that the tailgate wasn't locking. So they've done the software updates to that. But all the other things that they said they were going to fix, they've kind of fixed in a, excuse the language, but a half-assed way. So I don't know if I told you, the car will not recognise a national speed limit sign. It doesn't understand it at all. So if you enter a temporary restriction of roadworks or whatever, it will warn you, and it will tell you about the 40 or the 50 zone that you're in.
Yep.
But then when you get to the end and there's massive national speed limit signs, it just goes, no, I didn't see that. Not a clue.
And then it shouts at you when you accelerate as well.
And it still doesn't. What they've done is they've masked that problem by putting in another little silly fix where it tries to revert back to the original speed limit probably every 30 seconds or something like that. So if you're in a set of roadworks at 40 in a 60 zone, you'll see it try to go to 60 and then go, oh no, it's 40 because I can see the signs. And then again, 60, oh no, it's 40, I can go to the sign. So then when you get to the end, then it goes 60. Oh yeah, we're okay.
And 60. Then if it doesn't see anything, it stays there. That's a funny
so kind of fixes the problem, but they've not fixed the problem. You know, it still doesn't see one of the most significant signs on our UK roads. So it's things like that. The rest of it, there isn't really any significant changes. So it does now understand that a national speed limit dual carriageway is 70, not 60. That was another annoyance. So they have at least fixed that, but. 2 days.
Did it tell you this? Did it tell you the story on my national speed limit dual carriageway with a police officer pulling me many years ago?
No, I don't think it did.
This is a pretty good one. I think it was prior to me being a driving instructor, and there's you may know the road coming in from the M57 and M58 Dunningsbridge Road. It's a big road that takes you down towards the docks. It used to be many years ago a national speed limit section, and I zoomed away on my motorbike, and a young police officer pulled up next to me and told me I was a little quick, and I said, why? Are there any rules about accelerating quickly? No, he said, well, you're going too fast. And he didn't know the speed limit sign. It just picked on the wrong person to go off and question. It must have been whilst I was driving instructor, because I didn't get my motorbike license until probably about 18 months, 2 years after I qualified. So I must have been a driving instructor.
Wow.
But yeah, he was straight out of police school, I think, and wrong person to ask, I think.
Without this turning into that time I got pulled stories, but the only times I've ever been pulled on the motorway was for theoretical speeding because I overtook a police car or a police van and they didn't like it, and they were never traffic cars, so they never had calibrated speedos. So I've had 2 conversations. One with the dog van one was great because I got my cruise control set at 70, going through up through the lakes in Cumbria, and it's a bit hilly. And he was in his diesel Astramax something or other, and every time he came to a hill he would drop to 65 and I would go past him, and then he'd catch me up, and then I'd go, and then I'd pull away from him. So eventually, he pulled me over and said, "Stop doing that. You're just trying to wind me up now because you're doing more than 70." I'm not. Really not.
No.
It's just your van can't do 70 uphill.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Absolutely. The Volvo's been pretty good. Just talking about speed recognition, the Volvo's pretty good. I don't think I've. All right, it's only done 200 miles this week. Well, a week and a bit I've had it, and I don't think I've spotted it getting a speed limit wrong. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that as well. To be honest, it's pretty good. It's quite easy to turn the speed limit recognition off, and the lane departure warnings. That was one thing that I didn't bother looking at when I borrowed the Volvo originally, but it's literally 2 clicks of a button. It's not a big faff. It's not an actual button. It's still on the screen, but they're quite straightforward to get rid of. The cyclist killer, as I call it, the lane departure systems.
I think I've started using that lexicon as well, because I know in one of my commentary playbacks I went, "Oh yeah, I did say I just switched off the cycle killer." Maybe you should address that.
Yeah, yeah. I think, to be fair though, it sums it up perfectly, because it does push you back in. You're trying to move over a centre line to give a cyclist plenty of room, and then it tries to pull you back in and take them out. But no problem. I've just this afternoon just fitted my new dash cam to the Volvo. Well, one of the systems. I'm going to try and have as many cameras as I possibly can to confuse people even more in my video, Simon.
I've got visions of just cameras hanging off the car in every corner. It looks like a movie set.
Absolutely, yeah. But no, I've just stuck the front one in. I did a little review on the VFO A329 with a telephoto lens. I've gone for one of them because quite often I'll zoom into a situation that happens quite far out in front of me, but with the telephoto lens I can just show people the actual full picture and full screen without having to zoom. So that's another little thing that will come on. I'm going to utilize one of the old dash cam that I had in my Focus. So I'm going to stick that out the back window. So we'll probably have 4 or 5 cameras rather than 3. That's all. It's not going to be too bad. It's not going to be too excessive.
No, but coming on to my next problem, in a window over here, I've currently got the state of my current drives, and I'm running out of space again. So if you stick another 2 channels of footage in, every one of those things is going to exponentially increase in size when you're doing the edit. So
absolutely,
I need to delete some stuff. Is the answer?
Yes, yeah. I must admit, after my well-known memory storage problem, I just I cloud backup mine now, as well as I've got a decent SSD that I use. I've got I can see them on my computer over here as well. I've got hard disk drives with older stuff, current stuff, an SSD that I use for stuff that I'm working on because it's a little faster. And I just the other day backed up everything on the cloud. It took about 14 hours to upload everything, so you can imagine the kind of files that I've got. But needs doing. It's needs must for me doing what I do on YouTube.
Yeah. And I know that my problem is when I'm going out and doing these commentary drives, I'll go and do an hour's worth of footage, and I need to watch that hour's worth of footage back in order to understand it. So and using external mic as well. But it'll be worth it in the end. The being self-critical and watching things back. A lot of people can't do it, but I'm comfortable with it. It doesn't cause me any stress or anything else like that, to watch yourself coming back. And actually, I'll just take some, to use your language, learning points from it, and hopefully introduce that further down.
And it's a brilliant way of learning, and there are many people who listen to what we talk about, Simon, and watch what I do on YouTube, that use their dash cams for exactly the same purpose. It's not to just go off and catch people. You can use them as an educational tool. And if people haven't had a go at it, just go off and take your normal drive to work, watch it back, and then see whether you can pick up on any little bits that you're doing wrong. I'm sure with the extra information that you'll gather from my channel and what myself and Simon talk about, I'm sure there'll be little bits that you could probably implement and just improve with. So have a go at it if you've not done it already.
Yeah. The best thing for me, and a lot of people appreciate this, is it doesn't matter how good your observation skills are. Sometimes something will happen that surprises you. And
Yep.
it's nice to then go back to the footage and go, well, where did that come from? Or what was there any other indications I could have had before that as to what happened there?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't happen very often, but it's a useful little tool to have.
Absolutely, and I've done it many times as well. Do you remember the clip where I missed the pedestrian on the crossing down in the retail park, and you could see my face? I was like, "How the hell did I miss that?"
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it got to me, but I'm glad I went over the other side of the car park and just parked in and went, "Hang on a minute." And I'm glad I went back the following week and tried to work out.
It's an A-pillar moment, and
Yeah,
you can see it straight away.
Absolutely. It's really important, the A-pillar stuff. People, in my opinion, they're too bolted in their seat. They need to bob and weave a little bit more. So that could be one with a dash cam. If you've got the interior dash cam that you could go off and work on, just see how much lateral movement you've got in your seat when you are taking corners.
Yeah.
If you're bolted, you're creating potential A-pillar blind spot moments throughout your drive. So that could be one little area that people could go off and work on, Simon.
Yeah, good idea. And let's face it, modern car design is making that problem worse with the structural integrity and additional airbags that have got to go into A-pillars. They're not getting smaller, that's for sure.
No.
The glass area you get to see out of is reducing all the time.
Yeah. Just on that though, Simon, it's obviously something that I have noticed over the last week driving a Volvo Estate. But to have an estate car with windows all the way down the side and no C-pillar has been immense. It's so nice to reverse and actually see, even though it's quite a big car, you're pretty low down, and you've got a nice row of windows all the way down the side. I've noticed a difference with it, to be fair. And most people would think the big Volvo Estate, oh, it's difficult. Honestly, it's beautiful to reverse because you've got all those windows.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Q6 has got murdered glass in the back and additional sun visors, so I may as well be driving a van. From that respect, from the visibility over my shoulder,
Yeah.
which is not good. But honestly, that's just laziness on my part. I should have taken the sun visors out for the winter, and I didn't.
Yeah, one of those things. I've tried to borrow. I know you got in touch with your local Audi dealership, and did you say that car with mirror cameras did you say it had been sold?
No, it was.
Did it have a problem?
Involved in an incident.
What brand was it?
So
Sorry,
yeah,
couldn't resist that one.
Yeah, the Audi A6 with the mirrors managed to be loaned to a customer. They turned right out of the dealership, came to the first roundabout, and then sideswiped along somebody. How he has no idea, but the damage was significant. The vehicle may not be repairable. He did promise me he would tell me exactly how much the mirror replacement was. Oh, sorry, camera replacement was.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. But I've got in touch with a few manufacturers, and no one seems to want to lend me one. I got in touch with Audi again. No, wouldn't have it. I got in touch with Land Rover as well because they do a system. They do a system that you can switch between a normal mirror and the camera. And I didn't think of this when it was explained on their website. How many times, and it's especially apparent with both of us having relatively big dogs in the back of our vehicle, how many times do people put stuff in the boot, middle head passengers in the way, and they're creating a problem with your interior mirror? Land Rover have got a system where they can then switch to the camera and then it cuts all that out because it's actually behind the rear tailgate and it's a camera looking down. I didn't even think of that benefit of it, but it is a good benefit, don't you think, Simon?
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't considered that. That's a. We've been quite critical about the possible opportunities for those camera systems to be fallible, but I never thought of that as a possibility. And you're right, a big-headed Labrador sometimes puts his head in the way.
Yes. Yeah.
Normally, and this is the critical point. Normally, when I want to reverse somewhere, because he thinks, "Oh, are we here?" Sits up, and you're like, yeah, "Thanks, mate."
Absolutely. One thing I have been impressed with the Volvo as well. I've got a dog grate in between the back seats, the dog bars, and it's it lifts up, Simon, into the roof space. It's lovely. It's so nice, though it's not permanently fixed. If you don't want to, if you haven't got your dog in there, you can literally just, it's on, I wouldn't say, it's on springs, if you like, and it just sits up right next to the roof and just folds out the way. It's so good.
So presumably then that means you can get the rear seats down to turn the cargo area into the big thing in seconds rather than it currently takes me about 15 minutes.
Yes, because you've got to take the dog crate down. Exactly the same in Liz's car as well. But
Yeah.
the Volvo have thought about it. Fabulous system. It's really good.
Cool.
So well impressed with that. That's a nice little extra.
Cool.
Cool. But honestly, not really that much going on. My life's just being taken up with the training at the minute. So even the instructor training side of things, I've wound them down a little bit. So I've got no real stories to tell. I've had a couple of PDIs, potential driving instructors, through over the last couple of weeks. Well done, Sabrina. Well done, David.
Oh, Sabrina passed. Oh, good.
Sabrina passed. Yeah. She actually sent me a picture today of her green badge, which is a super proud moment. There's so much work that goes into it. So well done, Sabrina. Well done, David, as well. David is an interesting situation, and David will probably be able to help us with a little bit of content going forward as well. David, only probably 4 or 5 months ago, was an examiner at Norris Green Test Centre, my local test centre.
Oh, he's come from the dark side.
He's come from the dark side. He was an instructor originally, but I think the situation at the DVSA is getting a little too much for many examiners, and he just decided to go, you know what, I'm going to go and become an instructor again. So he came to see me. We've helped him through it. And he qualified in a week as well. But it's such an important resource as well for me. It sounds terribly that I'm just using him. I'm not. He's a lovely guy. He's got such a nice nature about him. He knows his stuff. But what about that for a resource as well, to have an ex-examiner working for your driving school?
Yeah, no,
So there's potentially going to be a few little bits where David's maybe even going to help us out going forward as well. So that's an interesting one to look forward to.
nice. Get him with the eye tracking glasses on and see what he's observing.
Yeah, he does wear glasses himself, so unfortunately we'll struggle with that one. But the eye tracking glasses have been sending people sick and dizzy. How do you find them when watching them, Simon? Do they send you a little bit nauseous?
No.
Oh.
I wonder if that's because I tend to watch your stuff on telly rather than on a phone or a computer screen.
Maybe.
So it's a little bit. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if that will make it worse or not. No, I haven't seen that as an issue.
Okay. All good. There's still bits and bobs that that need to be done with them as well. The comparisons are the important things, I think, with people doing it badly and then people doing it properly. So I just need to just make as many people wear them as possible. And that's quite hard with me cutting my hours down at the minute because I'm not doing that much. So that's something for after the marathon for certain.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Yeah, I had the unfortunate going to the opticians on Saturday, and coming away with a much lighter wallet than I went in with. But yeah, they always get me. They always go, well, you could have these lenses, but if you went for these, they'd be slightly thin. If you go for these, then they're really thin. If you go for these, then you'll be able to see so much better. And I'm like, I'm not going to discount my ability to see, you know. So
interestingly as well, I've got one eye. My left eye is a little bit cloudy. I do need a prescription for that particular eye, but my right eye is fine and compensates, so I don't need to wear glasses to drive. But it's not something I've mentioned to anyone. Liz knows about it, but after the marathon, I'm going to go and get some eye surgery, and I'm going to go and get a lens stuck in, and I'm going to document that process as well to show people how you can potentially stop yourself wearing glasses. Yes, it's an expensive option, but there are options to go off and do it. And for me, eyesight is absolutely everything. So that's why I'm going to suffer. I don't like anything to do with eyes. So it's going to be a big thing for me to put myself through that, Simon.
No, I appreciate that, and thanks for bringing it up, because I was in a very similar situation on Saturday where my without glasses eyesight is getting worse. There's no putting 2 points on it.
Yep.
But the environment around me is making that even more difficult. So, for example, if I go to the gym and they've got lockers where it's a keypad rather than a key, I'm screwed because I can't see the numbers. It's little things like that. And the optician said to me, "Yeah, you've got an early cataract, and I might next 12 months refer you for cataract operation," which, as you said, replace the lens, and it would never reduce me to not have to wear glasses, but it might allow me to see better without them, and cost me less in the lens department, and maybe allow me to have contact lenses for some activities. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
How did we get onto this?
I've got no idea. We get onto some random stuff, but it's an important thing. And just on that as well, there are many, many people at the moment who are driving on the roads without decent eyesight. It's even worse than the amount of further training that people do after taking their driving test. People do literally nothing apart from nitty nerds like myself and yourself, Simon. But people's eyesight, they often don't check it whatsoever. And I've had people turn up to my house for ADI training, part 2 training, ask them to read a number plate, and they couldn't. Absolutely scary. So please, everyone, if you haven't gone and got your eyesight checked ever, go and do it, because there are many people on the roads whose eyesight is awful and they shouldn't be driving when they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know of somebody who was in that same situation where they went for an eye test. They'd never been for an eye test. They'd always had really good eyesight. Went for an eye test and they went, "Actually, no, your eyesight's deteriorated to the point where you shouldn't be driving home."
Yes.
Please do go and do that.
Absolutely. Have we run out of stuff to talk about?
Oh no, we should have put money on how many points we didn't get through. But
how many did we get through?
1, 2, 3.
I did say 3 as well.
3 points. But it does mean that we've got more content, so we can keep going and some interesting stories. Yes. And there's a couple of these will probably take quite a long time to tell. So there's the incentive for future viewers and listeners to come back and listen to us waffle on a little bit.
But I would like to reiterate this message that Simon's put out many times as well, that if you would like us to discuss any particular subjects, please get in touch. Simon's going to tell us the email about now.
hello@thesmartdrivetepodcast.co.uk. Not pre-recorded.
There you go. There you go. So if you've got anything that you'd like myself and Simon to discuss, please let us know. But we waffle about rubbish most of the time, so thank you for staying to the end if you're still here.
Yeah, absolutely. Been a pleasure as always, Ashley. Thank you much for your time this evening. Keep well, and I'll speak to you again very soon. And thank you, everyone.
I'll see you soon.
Cheers now. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.